This was by far the most embarrassing thing I've ever done. I thought I was literally going to explode from shame. Hi everyone, my name is Tony and this is Sinscraft, a men's personal development channel where we talk about fitness, mindset, lifestyle, and relationships. And today I want to talk about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart: confidence. How to build confidence, how to become a more confident man, and what I did to become more confident. Let's all become Don Drapers from Mad Men. That's the point of this video. All right, so first and foremost, what I want to talk about is, what is confidence? I think society kind of likes to look at confidence as this thing where a human just carries themselves so well. They have this ability to kind of do whatever they want to on the spot without thinking about it too much, without hesitating. They have this really clear speech. And it's just a person that likes to own shit, like walk through life as a magician without really worrying what's going to happen to him next, right? But if you really break down confidence, confidence is just the idea that no matter what you do next, no matter what kind of action you take in the future, it is going to be okay. You're not going to die. You're not going to embarrass yourself. You're not going to put yourself in a situation where something negative happens to you. And in my experience and kind of observing people in my own life, I've noticed that there's really two different kinds of confidence. The first kind of confidence is your natural confidence. And it's the confidence that you kind of get as a child. It really depends a lot on your relationship with your parents. It's really important for a child to have a relationship with his parents where the parents kind of instill this feeling of worthiness into the child, that they give him self-encouragement, that they tell him that he's capable of doing whatever he wants to in this life. And once the child develops in that sense, he eventually becomes the human being that carries himself a lot more confidently through life. It's this instilled confidence, I like to call it. It also oftentimes depends on your personality. So some people are just born with those personalities of being much more extroverted, and being more extroverted oftentimes is also equivalent to how society likes to look at confidence as well. But this video is not for somebody who has natural confidence, because if you had natural confidence, you probably would not be watching this video. I really want to talk about the second kind of confidence, acquired confidence, which is the kind of confidence that you gain from personal work already as an adult by just practicing skills. And we're gonna get more into this right now. It's the kind of confidence that I've personally built because I was never the human being with natural confidence. My parents never instilled this sense of worthiness into me. I was actually a very insecure person. If you watch some of my previous videos, I've actually immigrated to the United States at the age of 13. I had a big language barrier. I could not really speak to people, open up my mouth. I had a whole ton of insecurities. I was overweight. I was just struggling so much with this feeling of unworthiness. And confidence for me was just a result of many years of personal work, many years of fear, and many years of overcoming that fear consistently to get to where I am today. So really, if you look at confidence, you can't really just think about it as something that a person has, as like a quality that a person has. Confidence is applicable to a particular skill, right? And skills can vary. Like there's many different kinds of skills. Talking to girls is a skill, right? Dancing is a skill, which is something I'm going to talk about in this video a lot in my personal experience. Playing ping pong is a skill. Everything you really do, every action you do, every conversation you strike up is a particular type of skill. And when we talk about confident people and confidence in general, it's not just like a quality that a person possesses. It is something that you have when it comes to building and developing a particular skill or set of skills. So in the societal worldview of confidence, when we look at a person and we say he's a confident person, it's usually a human being who has the skill of clear speech, who has this skill of talking to women very well and being successful with women. It is somebody who can speak publicly very well as well without stuttering. He's able to project his voice very loudly. He's able to walk into the room and kind of inspire this feeling of like respect from everybody else. Like everybody kind of looks at this human being as like, hey, this guy could probably lead me to war. So it's literally just a set of skills that, like I said, sometimes come naturally to a person, but regardless of what those skills are, they can also be developed through personal work. And this is also why, like a lot of people, for example, they can be very confident in the work environment if they're, let's say, managers and CEOs, but once they step outside of that office space or work environment and they come home, they can become very insecure, unconfident people, because their confidence is directly linked to an environment and to a set of skills that they are able to use in that situation. So a CEO is really only available or capable of using his CEO skills when he is at work being a CEO, but he can't really do that at home with his children, because his children look at him as their dad, as opposed to the CEO of the company where they work at. So it's a lot harder for that person to project the confidence that they have from their job while being at home. So like I said, once again, confidence is something that is tied to a particular skill or set of skills that we get better at doing over time. So when you look at, for example, a skill like talking to girls, right? You can also break down this skill into individual sub-skills. To be able to talk to girls successfully, you need to maintain eye contact with a girl. You need to, of course, have clear speech without stuttering, without using a lot of so's and ums and ahs. You also need to be able to maybe use some body language, right? So you can feel a little bit more natural. If you want to take it to the next level, you can also add some humor, or you can also add some flirting techniques. Some of those more advanced techniques when it comes to speaking to a woman, right? So it's really just a set of skills that you have to develop. That is pretty much it. And you can use a similar breakdown for pretty much any skill that you want to become confident in. And really, if you want to build a certain skill, the only way to do it is through constant repetition. That is it. When a person becomes an Olympic swimmer, they don't just become a swimmer naturally because they were born to be a natural swimmer. Of course, there might be some anatomical advantages that this person has over other people that allow him to maybe fast track that path of becoming a swimmer, but he still needs to show up every single day at 5 a.m. and do a whole bunch of laps for many years before he can even qualify for the Olympic Games, right? So it's really about the repetition of a certain action or set of actions that allows you to become better at that particular skill and also give you confidence as a result. And it's the same exact thing with talking to girls or public speaking or just carrying yourself in a more confident way. You just have to do it more, and you have to kind of practice those skills as much as you can so you can become better at them and thus become more confident in doing them. The difference, however, between talking to girls or public speaking and becoming a swimmer or becoming a tennis player or building some kind of more practical skill, like when you're, let's say, playing a video game, you just need to play the video game a whole bunch until you become good at it, right? And you have to deliberately practice becoming better at it. The difference is that some of those skills, when practiced at first and when you're getting through that hurdle of being bad at it with the intent of becoming better at it, you might be evoking a lot of those really unwanted emotions inside of you. Emotions of rejection, of course, if we're talking about talking to girls, emotions of embarrassment, if we're talking about dancing or public speaking, those feelings that you really want to avoid as much as possible, and your brain is going to be screaming at you, Tony, stop, don't do it. You're going to bring so much shame to your whole family and to your whole bloodline. You have to stop doing it. You'd much rather just go home, back to your room and jerk off more as opposed to talk to girls. You don't have to do it, man. Why do you have to put yourself on these scary situations? Yeah, you're never going to become the man that you want to be if you don't do it, but who needs that? That's the kind of stuff your brain is going to be yelling at you every single day, right? And the goal here is just to ignore those thoughts. Those are intrusive thoughts. And the more you practice that skill, yes, at first you're going to be getting rejected. If you talk to girls, you're going to be feeling ashamed and embarrassed if you're dancing or public speaking. But eventually, guess what happens? You get over it. The more you practice it, the more you understand that your failure is just a stepping stone towards your success. And yeah, if a person thinks that you're weird or if you're awkward, or an audience that you're talking to thinks that, hey, he's a really bad public speaker, No one is ever going to be like, oh my God, we need to end this person's life. We need to all collectively get together and destroy that human being's whole family because he just embarrassed himself public speaking or practicing his public speaking skills, right? There is just going to be a momentary thing and everybody's going to forget about it in like 5 minutes because people are really just worried about thinking about their own lives and themselves for the most part, right? But in our heads, as we're practicing those skills, it's really, really scary, right? Which is why it's also hard to develop those particular skills. Let me tell you about my personal story and something that happened in my life, one of the hardest skills that I had to build for myself. So like I said, I was a very unconfident person growing up. My parents never instilled this feeling of worthiness into me. So all the confidence that I have, I had to build through personal work and a lot of fear and overcoming that fear. And one of the skills that was really hard for me was dancing. Prior to me quitting alcohol, I would use alcohol as a means of becoming a little bit smoother in my conversations with people and also a means of relaxing on the dance floor. I would never be able to dance at a bar or a club unless I was already drunk, because otherwise I would feel like the stiffest human on the planet, like a bear. My body would just not move the way I wanted it to move, and I thought I was just the most awkward person doing it. So that's why I never did it. But once I quit alcohol, I really, really wanted to develop that skill because I still wanted to dance. I still knew that it's something that is going to help me in life. But I was just so afraid of like stepping on the actual club dance floor and learning how to do it right. I thought that people are going to make fun of me. I thought that girls are going to look at me weird, all of those things. So what I did was I went to a dance class, a literal Sunday at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. I think it was class where people got together to practice tango and bachata. So those were the types of dances that I learned. Latin American dances, very beautiful dances, very different dances. Also, tango is a lot more complex and much more technical than bachata. Bachata is more like a social dance for fun that you can do in many different, bars and clubs. But essentially, this was something I wanted to do to overcome that fear. And let me tell you, the first time I showed up to that class, just literally clicking on the sign up button online was so freaking hard for me. I was like, okay, I have to do this. I have to click this, submit this $20 payment and go to this class. I have to do it. And it took me literally 2 hours of sitting there and staring at this payment link for me to actually commit, right? And once I paid, it took me another 3 days of mental preparation to show up at that class and actually just show my face there. I cannot even explain to you, parking that car right by the studio where I was supposed to take my dance class, my hands were shaking on the wheel. I was so nervous to step in there and embarrass myself. Walking up that stairs, oh my God, I still remember it like it was yesterday. It was literally the most scary thing potentially that I've ever done in my life. That's what it seems like right now. But the second I got to know my dance teacher and the other people that were there, and I kind of started moving around a little bit, I realized that, hey, other people are also here to learn, right? Doing that first class really did something to my confidence. I was like, hey, I'm not good at this skill yet, but at least I know I can show up and I can practice without feeling this embarrassment. And after that, it just went uphill. I fell in love with dancing. Completely sober. I didn't need and I don't need any more alcohol ever to do it anymore. It's just such a fun thing for me to do, to get to know people and to practice the skill of being uncomfortable so I can become better at it, right? And the more I was doing it, the better I was becoming at dancing and the more confident I was therefore becoming in applying this skill in real life. And now I can just show up at any club, any Latin bar, and start dancing bachata with a random person or dancing with my girlfriend if I want to, as much as I want to. And I feel absolutely zero embarrassment applying myself in that situation. So this is just a skill that I built over time. I'm doing a similar thing right now with public speaking, right? I'm not very good at public speaking just yet. I want to become more confident and more interesting of a public speaker, just because this is something I want to pursue in the future. So I signed up to a Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a global organization, not global, sorry. It's a national organization in the United States where you can practice your public speaking skills for all kinds of different occasions. And I'm not sponsored by Toastmasters by any means. I just think it's a really cool thing to do for your personal development. So I signed up to my local Toastmasters class, and now my girlfriend and I go every single week to practice talking to an audience and becoming more confident in that skill. And I'm hoping that I can do my first public speaking gig maybe within a year, or once I get better at it, right? So, and this literally applies to every single skill. When I was talking to girls and learning how to talk to girls at first, I had to go through a whole bunch of rejection and failure for me to get more confident in that process. Really, that's all it comes down to. All right, so let's summarize this with a couple of final thoughts. Confidence, when it's acquired, is a skill that is going to put you in very uncomfortable situations. And oftentimes the difference between a confident person and the unconfident person is the ability of that person to put themselves into those uncomfortable situations repeatedly. What has always helped me is understanding that this life is finite. We're all going to die one day. And if I want to become the person that I want to be, I need to take action now. This is the only choice that I have, because if I don't take this action, I will never become that person, and I will look back and I'm going to feel regret for not actually taking action. And if you think about it, really, those things that we're most scared of are really just challenges that we have to overcome on the way to becoming a stronger and more confident us. And would it not feel nice to look back at them and tell ourselves that we overcame them? Thank you very much, everybody, for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and found it valuable. If you're interested in shortened versions of the topics that we talk about, I highly encourage you to sign up to my newsletter that comes out every week. I share a whole bunch of free, valuable content and guides that will help you on your personal development journey. You can just click on the link in the description of this video and sign up there. Thank you very much once again, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.